Hello, everyone. We are joining you live from Washington, D.C. A little different update than usual for our legislative update today because I've been in Washington, D.C. the end of this week, was in Helena the beginning of the week, but I am in D.C. We were up doing Hill visits. I'm joined by three members. Two of them are still here and they're very excited to get on camera. But we're going to give you some updates on some of the things that we've been working on federally, because I think, during a legislative session, we do often get really tied up in the things that are going on in Helena, and that is very, very important. But we also want you to know that we're continuing to work on our federal level priorities throughout the year as well. So if you have questions, please do comment them. I will try to watch for them, and I'll ask these guys to help me watch the comments as well. But we'll just get started with some updates, and as always, we'll go back and look at your questions if you're watching this later, and we'll be happy to fill you in. So Nicole Rolfe here in Washington, D.C. with Tom Depute and Wes Jensen, who were here for the issue advisory committees with the American Farm Bureau, as was Jillian Street from Chester. And I'm going to have them talk a little bit about the committee hearings that they sat in on today. Actually, committee meetings, I should say. See, I'm in my Helena speak. And what we're also going to talk a little bit about the other work that we did yesterday. So we got here on Wednesday, and then we spent all day Thursday up on Capitol Hill visiting with both of our senators and also the staff in both of our House offices. Notice I said both. This is our first trip back to DC where we have two congressmen. So that's an exciting change, and we had good meetings with staff in both of those offices. Of course, this is a Farm Bill year, so we had a lot of discussion about Montana Farm Bureaus and American Farm Bureau's priority issues for the Farm Bill. Had great discussions on those things, and good back and forth with our senators and with the staff in all four offices about how we can make this a better bill for Montana, a better bill for farmers and ranchers across the country. We also talked with them a lot about two bills we're really excited about being introduced at the beginning of this week. Those are Senator Bozeman and Representative Lucas's Protect Farmers from the SEC Act bills. You've probably heard me talk in the past, or you've gotten updates from us about Farm Bureau's opposition to the SEC. Yes, that's right, the Securities Exchange Commission. Their rule that they put out late last year that would require reporting of carbon emissions from publicly traded companies, which that is who they are meant to regulate. However, in this rule, there is a scope 3, which is a certain level of designation in the rule, and that's the layer that us farmers and ranchers are included in, that would require farmers and ranchers to keep track of and report our any kind of inputs that we use on our farm, any kind of emissions that are created on our ranches, in order for them to do some climate reporting. Of course, we oppose the rule because they are only meant to regulate publicly traded companies. Farmers and ranchers are not publicly traded companies, and there's no way for us to fully make sorry, I just saw a text come in. But there's no way for us to fully make to fully do this accounting. There's no, the rule was unclear. There's a whole lot of overburdensome parts of this rule, and it just goes way too far. So these two bills make it clear. It prohibits the SEC from requiring farmers and ranchers to report in scope 3 emissions reporting. So we support both those bills. We encouraged all of our delegation to take a look at those and consider becoming co-sponsors. It's a really important issue to us in Montana. So I've talked long enough. Now I will turn it over to Tom and Wes, who are going to talk about, maybe highlight some of the things that we discussed in our Farm Bill discussion, and also just the different issues that were discussed in their committee meetings. Because today They broke out into their committees. Tom chairs the Federal Lands Committee. Obviously, a lot of Montana-specific and really important issues in there. And Wes is on the Market Structures Committee, which actually takes in a huge number of different topics. And I think they had a lot of discussion today on a wide range of topics. So I'm going to...
questions there.
Oh, we do have some questions. Well, I don't know. We kind of have, we have a comment from John that says, hello, ladies. So I guess he thinks that maybe you guys are ladies. But it's just one lady and two gentlemen here, John. And Shoto County Farm Bureau made an interesting comment. You know, the rule that the SEC was asking for does not take into account all of this carbon that farmers and ranchers sequester. So good point there. Anyways, I'm going to turn it over to Tom and Wes.
Okay. Hello. Yes, I'm going to start with our Federal Lands Committee that I just got off of today. It was a long day. So this regarding all federal lands, so there's Farm Bureau members that are mostly from the Western United States. There was one from Arkansas and one from Michigan. Otherwise, all the members in this committee are from the Western United States. And there was a lot of issues. Everything from BLM, Forest Service, National Park Service. A lot of the members, they're all dealing with their grazing on their allotments on the Forest Service. We had some timber guys there. It's really good to learn from all these other people around the country who are dealing with similar issues. One thing that I guess that really stood out, and whether we were visiting on the Hill, everybody's talking about is the shortage of staff at a lot of the government agencies and all the offices. Seems like it's a big topic everywhere, and a lot of the government projects aren't getting done, and a lot of it comes down to the lack of staffing. With Forest Service, sometimes it's a lack of even housing in the Forest Service. So they're having a hard time getting people to work everywhere in this country. So the BLM grazing rules will be coming out possibly sometime this summer. We had a little discussion about that, and hopefully the committee will keep an update on that as things come out. Again, in Western United States, everybody's dealing with the drought, and it's quite a effect. It's interesting, I heard some stats on the Forest Service. In the early 1900s, they said that the average, in the forest, the average count per trees per acre was 20 trees per acre, and now it's over 200 trees per acre. And we're talking about the rainfall. Well, we're dealing with drought, but when the rains do come, it's a lot of the moisture never gets down into the ground. You know, the trees collect it, it evaporates so fast, especially in the southern forest. And there's very interesting topics, and all this plays a role into the shortage of water that the earth. Are we still there?
You're still going.
Okay, we're still going. We're getting some error messages up there. We also heard from a climate and conservation project that's part of the executive order of the 30 by 30. Still a lot of unknowns. It sounded good, like a lot of the conservation projects that they're looking at will be voluntary basis. They're putting quite a database together, and so we're all anxious to know what that all is going to entail. I guess, and I gave an update of what's happening in Montana. I gave an update what's happening with the BLM decision with the American Prairie Reserve. It's basically just an update what's happening. And then regarding some of the discussions with our senators and representatives' offices and staff, the Farm Bill. I guess I focused with the drought these last few years, how important crop insurance has been. Such a critical that the funding is maintained for that. The reference prices, maybe we could see a slight increase. The dollar figure just keeps getting bigger, and I don't know, I guess, I don't know if save a few things for Wes. I don't know about CRP or what are the issues we talked about, but
Thanks, Tom.
I'll turn it over to Wes. I don't know if I can read the questions that are coming up or not.
I haven't gotten any new ones yet. John just said he didn't see Tom and Wes lurking. Well, there's Wes now, John.
Yeah, I'm Wes Jensen. I'm here I was on the market structure committee, and it's so broad. And we were the last ones to get out. We just got out of our meeting here a little bit ago, but covered all kinds of things. We covered foreign ownership of properties that is a big issue now. We had two different individuals speak on that with a lot of details, and it's interesting to note that China owns properties owned, which is one of the big ones that we think of, was 1% of the foreign. So it's not a lot, but there's a lot of uncertainty there, and I guess a little bit of a security issue that everybody's more probably worried about. But one thing I did find out was that they consider, or they classify it as ownership even if they're leasing it, and so that would include all of the Keystone Pipeline land that is leased by the Canadians would probably be considered Canadian property. So some of the statistics you might hear, or what stories you might hear, might not be as horrible as it seems, but it's something that everyone was concerned with and thought that needs to be kept, everybody kept up to date on. So, and the state legislature right now, as Nicole has informed us, that are working on that for Montana as we speak. Other things that were discussed was transportation, the barges on the Mississippi, some things they're doing, some checkoff dollars for soybean that are getting involved in helping with some of that structure, and they are working on it. But the low water levels, it's a big issue. We don't see it quite as much in our markets, but it is a big issue, and so those are some of the things that I obviously don't ever think about, and that we had to talk about. And the dairy pricing and what they're working on with that, and that's amazing how complicated that is. And we're traceability on the livestock part of things is a big issue. The USDA is working on it, and so there's going to be some things that I would encourage everyone to pay attention to, and get in touch with our office in Bozeman and let them know what your thoughts are on it. But it's I would pay attention to what's coming forward in rulemaking. As far as being on the Hill, with the new farm bill, part of what we talked about was, Tom's already talked about insurance, but CRP and some rules changes there that might be good.
Making it more working lands focused.
Yeah, more of that, making it more workable for the landowner. But some, like we see in the EQIP program, there's been some where the funding is such that not all the projects get covered, and whether it be lack of help or even help in the office to get it all done, or what all is involved, but a lot of projects are not being covered, and so there's needed to be some more funding in that area. And CRP, again, changing some of the way they do things, so that it's spread out throughout the county, and so that what was I trying to say? The
25% limitation
Yeah.
per farm instead of per county.
Yeah, 25% of the people being able to put land in, or 25% of their farm rather than just 25% of the county, so that a lot of big acreage doesn't use up that. And possibly that would be a more intelligent way to cover ground that really is highly erodible or poor ground that could be utilize the program better. So, but that's pretty much, I guess, all I have to say. So, cool.
Okay, it doesn't look like we have any questions, but if you have any, quick comment them. I will just say that, we covered Farm Bill, we covered the SEC, Protect the Farmers from the SEC Act, we talked about grizzly bears, we talked about federal land use, we talked about a lot of things up on the Hill, but a really great opportunity for us to get into the details on the Farm Bill with our folks at a really timely time. Not to be repetitive on words, but it's the Congress is in the fact gathering period of that, but we have to remember that this Farm Bill expires on September 30th. So it's a big push to get it done by the end of this fiscal year, but we're going to do everything we can to do that and to make it a better Farm Bill for rural America and everyone who benefits from the program. So I don't see any more questions, and we've got to get on to the next thing today. So I will sign off, but say if you have any questions ever about any, the state level things we're working on or the federal level issues, Rachel and I are here to answer them for you. So send us your comments, and thanks for watching. Bye.